Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than a double bill. The first one is The Curse of the Peladon, and the second one will be The Monster of Peladon. So, without further ado, let's get right into the story. The Doctor and Josephine Grant, or Jo Grant, essentially land on the planet of Peladon. The Doctor says that something's up with the weather outside, and Jo and him decide to go outside the box. Little do they realise, the TARDIS has landed on a cliff and decides to have what I like to call another cliffhanger. No, not a literal cliffhanger, I just mean the box fell off the cliff. Right. But then the Doctor and Jo decide to scale up the mountain. Jo gets tired of climbing, so they go in through an underground entrance. Upon doing this, the Doctor and Jo find themselves in the court of the High Monarchy of Peladon. They also find themselves in the company of ambassadors from across the stars. The Doctor and Jo then eventually realise that someone is trying to sabotage some proceedings between the Prince of Peladon and the ambassadors. The prince aims for them to essentially go beyond the stars and see the universe for what it is, rather than stay as savages on their barren world. However, his high priest, Hepesh, has other ideas, and will do anything he can to restore the natural order of Peladon. The Doctor and Jo have a couple false starts due to the Doctor's previous history with the Ice Warriors. Due to his bad past with them, the Doctor naturally assumes that the Ice Warriors are behind the sabotage and a lot of the incidents. However, after further inspection, it turns out that the Ice Warriors are simply just doing their job. The Doctor and the ambassadors and Jo eventually learn that Hepesh has been behind this all along. The prince is left with one option but to banish Hepesh and imprison him until further notice. Upon this discovery, the Prince of Peladon then manages to form an alliance with the Alliance, prospecting forward in hopes that maybe one day Peladon will be able to be part of a greater, wider universe. However, before the Doctor and Jo set off, Jo is left with a very complicated decision to take up hold. She is offered the hand in marriage to the Prince of Peladon. However, Jo's heart isn't in it, so she decides that it's best left at that. She has found a fondness for the Prince of Peladon, but she can't see herself marrying him. Jo's relationship with the Prince of Peladon is very complicated in this story as it goes back and forth multiple times. The Doctor, however, plays a very funny and charismatic part in this story. He goes from being this man of the universe to suddenly realising that he's in a position where he can't really speak too often without being put in the box. So, The Curse of Peladon. Well, I started rewatching a bit of it last night, sadly didn't fully finish it, but I remember this story very fondly. My favourite character in this story is got to be Alpha Centauri. Not only because they're a bubbly hermaphrodite, but also because they're a character that often may get undershadowed in other stories. The fact that they're at the forefront of this story really shows how the people who wrote The Curse of Peladon and The Monster of Peladon and every Peladon story since really take all of their ambassadors with a kind of strong, confident persona. They really bring them to the front of the story, no matter what position of power they're in. And for that reason, I give The Curse of Peladon a solid 10 out of 10. Now I think it's time we move on to The Monster of Peladon. The Prince of Peladon has died, and in his wake he has left a new heir to the throne. A beautiful woman, you might say. A queen of Peladon. And this queen of Peladon aims to be as good as her father was. However, she finds herself in a precarious situation. The miners on her planet are refusing to work, saying that the beast Agador has returned once again. However, when the Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith arrive, they soon learn that this is not the case. It turns out that Agador is a projection. The real Agador is still in the caves and has lived there many years, peacefully and out of the way. It turns out that the Ice Warriors have been working with the miners and Galaxy 5 to try and steal the Trisilicate from the planet Peladon and leave it back in the Dark Ages. However, they don't succeed when the Doctor intervenes. Upon seeing the projection and realizing exactly what's really going on down in the mines, the Doctor pleads with the Queen of Peladon to do something, that she must make a stand for herself. But of course the Doctor struggles to get through. However, Sarah Jane Smith, being a woman herself, begins to explain to the Queen that she shouldn't let the people boss her around. It is her kingdom and her kingdom to rule. She should make a stand for herself and make herself known. So, the monster of Peladon. What did I think of this story? Well, I definitely like that it's a new and kind of a twist on the original. Do I think it's as good as the original? Yes, I do. And for that reason, I give the Monster of Peladon a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and absolutely have a fantastic day, you gorgeous people.